Pastor Roy Gearhart from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. As we've been sharing in this week's Bible study focused on Deborah and Barak, there have been aspects of this that have really brought home to me just how tough life can be in this world. In addition to that, some of the life experiences that I've had this past week have reinforced that. Seeing people dealing with illness, other people dealing with relationship struggles, families broken and struggling. It's really difficult, and life can be an incredibly painful and difficult experience. When we look back at the setting in which Deborah and Barak arose and fought back, you see a situation that's described in the 4th chapter of Judges, simply saying that the people of Israel were cruelly treated and cruelly oppressed by this king Jabin and his henchman, his military commander Sisera. And you can bet that Sisera is the guy who is the real instrument of cruelty, of violence and oppression that Jabin wielded against the people of Israel. Now, whenever we read that, it's just a very simple statement, just a one-liner. They were cruelly treated, but the depth of that is not really captured in that. It's not until you get to the 5th chapter that you hear some more descriptive terms. It talks about the village life being disrupted, that villagers in Israel couldn't really safely go about their lives. In fact, it even says that it was like in some past days when people couldn't even travel on the main roads safely. They had to avoid them and instead follow little side trails, trying to find a way to get through life without being caught by these cruel overlords. And we're introduced in all of this to a couple of people that at first you wonder, why are we introduced to them? It was a man named Heber and his wife Jael. And Heber was a descendant of Moses' brother-in-law. And so this distant relative now of Moses' family is come and settled in the Promised Land and is trying to work out a way to survive and to care for his family. And he's trying to play in some ways on both sides of the street. He's made some friendly relations with this king Jabin. And this is good for him, but it kind of sets him up in this awkward position. And oddly enough, as we're introduced to them, it is to his home that Sisera flees when he begins to lose the battle with Barak and Deborah. And he was desperate. He jumped out of his chariot and ran for his life. And he ends up at this tent. Now, Heber has been cultivating some of this kind of positive relationship, and I'm sure that he thought that this fellow would be a safe sanctuary for him. And Heber is not really present, it seems like, but his wife welcomed Sisera into their tent. And Jael gave him some milk to drink, tucked him into a bed with a blanket covering him, and assured him that he would be just fine. Then she picked up a tent peg and a hammer and drove this peg through the man's head and killed him. So instead of Barak, who shows up just a little while later, it seems, instead of him having the victory and having the task of actually striking back at Sisera, it's this woman who steps up, a non-combatant, a person who is kind of in this precarious situation, but she stepped up at that moment and is celebrated in the song of praise and exaltation that Judges 5 records Deborah and Barak singing. She is celebrated as a woman who is blessed. Now, this is gruesome. It's a gruesome act. It's in fact a very violent act that expresses a response to someone who has clearly been terrorizing these people. She is celebrated like a deliverer who has rescued the people from this violent oppressor. This all reminds me of this. There are times when all of us have to take a stand. We can't straddle the fence. We can't mingle our alliances. We can't have God and our own way or yield to somebody else's way. There's a point that comes in all of our lives when we have to declare ourselves and take our stand and live or die for the Lord in our lives. May God bless you. And as you share this good news, may God make you a blessing wherever He takes you.